Welcome to the 2023 City of Seattle Primary Election Video Voters Guide, your chance to hear directly from the participants appearing on the August 1st primary election ballot. This is a vote-by-mail election. Instead of going to a polling place, ballots will be sent to all registered voters. All ballots must be returned on or before Election Day. Each statement is up to 2 minutes long and unedited. The speakers appear on your screen in the order they will appear on the ballot. The candidates appearing in these videos represent campaigns for each of the 7 Seattle City Council seats and 3 seats on the Seattle School Board. All the elective positions included in this guide are nonpartisan. First up, the Seattle City Council. The Seattle City Council is the city's elected legislature and is made up of 9 city council members, 2 who are elected at large, and 7 who represent a geographic district of the city. Each of the 9 council members is elected to a term of 4 years. Council members set policy and further that policy by adopting the city's operating budget. The operating budget includes spending for major city projects, public safety, human services, and delivery of both water and electricity to city residents. The council also levies taxes and enacts regulations. This year, the City of Seattle will elect 7 council members based on the city's 7 geographic districts. City council districts were realigned in 2022, so you may be voting in a new district this year. All city voters will have the opportunity to vote for 1 city council member representing their district. The top 2 vote-getters in each district will proceed to the November general election ballot.
My name is Lucy Barefoot, candidate for Seattle City Council District 1. My integrity, resourcefulness, and hardworking attributes will bring common sense laws and budget decisions with you in mind. In addition to leading a successful statewide outreach program for underserved communities, I have lived experience as an immigrant, teacher, small business owner, tenant, property owner, and landlord. My priorities are transportation, education, affordable housing, revitalization program, and homelessness. Critical infrastructure. Elevated concrete bridges continue to fail, like the West Seattle Bridge and the Alaskan Way Viaduct, to name a few. I support development without displacement. Yes, longer tunnels. It is time to rethink Sound Transit's preferred alternative for West Seattle. Stakeholders in the Chinatown International District, Ballard, and West Seattle have still not bought into. SD3 ballot measure barely passed in King and Snohomish but failed in Pierce. Its regressive property taxes and car type increases have hurt our most vulnerable communities. It's time to stop displacements and save green spaces. Let's place this measure back on the 2024 ballot. Voters should decide between keeping the status quo for 13 plus years or seeking a leaner project. For education, I support our school, our teachers, and civics education. Moreover, mental health therapy should be normalized to remove stigma and ableisms. For affordable housing, Seattle continues to face a housing crisis, and I am ready to engage with stakeholders to seek and use allocated resources and streamline city services. I'm ready to partner up to build an effective downtown revitalization program for Pioneer Square and beyond. Seattle must spend responsibly and invest in self-sustainable programs. Let's use the federal funding that our city already receives in viable programs to address homelessness root causes. I will foster belonging in our communities. My name is Lucy Barefoot, and I would be honored to have your vote.
Hello, I'm Stephen Brown, the president of Eltana Bagels, a proud West Seattle resident, and a candidate for the Seattle City Council in District 1. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. All cities, great and small, go through intense periods of struggle, just like Seattle is now. Some of those cities bounce back and thrive, and others sink into deeper decay and decline. To my eye, the common thread of cities that rise again is governance that mixes imagination with pragmatism. This mix of creativity and common sense has been the hallmark of my life and work, and it's what I would bring to Seattle City Council that separates me from my opponents. We all know Seattle's profound challenges. Our streets don't feel safe or welcoming. There are too many residents unable to find a place to live, struggling to overcome an addiction, or grappling to hold on to themselves dealing with a mental illness. We must help them and really help them. It's not honoring someone's struggle to turn the other way as they use lethal drugs on our streets. That approach is enabling their addiction and lessening their humanity. Small businesses, and West Seattle small businesses in particular, are struggling to emerge from the gut punch combo of pandemic and bridge closure. I understand small business at my core. I know all about the logistics, financing, hiring, marketing, and administration, but I also have insights into the psyche of small business operators. We are fiercely independent, but we also yearn to feel like we belong. I plan on being a key player in the revitalization of downtown Seattle. All my career, I've been inventing and building community. Seattle's downtown needs to be a community. I have ideas, large, medium, and small, for how our downtown can be a great place to live, work, and play. Again, we need great ideas and pragmatic skills. I would bring that combination to District 1 and to City Hall, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Dear Seattle voters, I am running for Seattle City Council District 1, and I would love your vote. I grew up as the youngest of 5 children in Cleveland, Ohio, above my family's funeral home. It was there that my grandparents and parents modeled loving kindness to people in crisis. In 2018, I founded the Diversity Center of Seattle, Washington, working daily in Seattle to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion by driving authentic innovation for change in our workplaces and our communities. I am a feminist, and I've been active in every community I've lived in, as well as a proud member of the LGBTQIA2S+ community, a breast cancer survivor, and a loving Italian mama to 8 children in our blended family. I care deeply about West Seattle, where I've lived since 2006, but also the multicultural communities found in Georgetown, Delridge, Highland Park, and South Park. Exciting that the Metropolitan Improvement District passed by the mayor includes Pioneer Square, and the Equitable Development Initiative funds include El Centro de la Raza and Estelitas Library. Wonderful. I am the only candidate in D1 with the knowledge and experience of a 30-year researcher, small business owner, and entrepreneur. And I am a renter and a lifelong commitment to community engagement. We will need all of us participating to solve the complex problems we face in the post-pandemic society. Neighbors experiencing displacement need more affordable housing. Childcare is a crisis, and we need childcare on site to get workers back into the offices. We must address systemic racism by including representative voices at the tables where decisions are being made. Public safety is so important, and I'm all about getting people excited enough and feeling safe enough to get involved, share ideas, listen to different perspectives, and please vote.
I am running to serve the people of District 1 with their best interests in mind first. We need an accountable, responsive government willing to center equity, progressive values, and common sense. My name is Rob Saka, and I'd be honored to serve you. I'm a public school dad of 3, attorney, public safety advocate, and Air Force veteran. I'm also the proud son of a Nigerian immigrant and former warehouse worker who rescued me from the foster care system and raised me as a single parent. I believe in safe communities and better policing. Everyone has a right to feel safe in their own neighborhood, free of crime or unequal justice. That's why we must enact both effective prevention strategies and appropriate response capabilities to meet the realities of today's public safety challenges. While growing up, I lived in public and low-income housing. These experiences taught me that everyone deserves safe, quality housing in a thriving community. We must build more affordable housing, particularly for low-income and workforce housing for middle-income residents. As a former foster kid, I know what it's like to be uprooted and feel completely swept away. We must do better for our unhoused neighbors. Sadly, the homelessness crisis in our city has devolved into a total humanitarian catastrophe. It is our moral imperative to take urgent action and find people housing and treatment now. At City Hall, I want to normalize collaborating across differences, finding common ground, and getting bold things accomplished that work for everyone. I know there is a better way forward for our city, and I couldn't be more energized at the opportunity we have to do it together.
Hello, I'm Preston Anderson, and I'm running for City Council to represent District 1. As the only candidate who has worked many years in behavioral health and housing programs, I have the critical and needed experience to bring to the City Council, which sets me apart from my peers. My candidacy represents an opportunity to get Seattle back on track, making it a safe and thriving city for all. As a clinical social worker who has been in the field for over 12 years, I know that I bring insights no other candidate has, particularly on ensuring our most vulnerable get housed and that we begin to reverse the trend of overdose deaths in the city. I've worked in inpatient psychiatric settings, I've worked in addictions treatment, and I've worked extensively in homeless programs. And during my time working at the VA healthcare system, we've reduced veteran homelessness by over 50%. With my goal of introducing programmatic standards and increasing the level of accountability, I know we can do the same here in Seattle. On the council, I will work toward cost-effective solutions on many issues impacting the city, using the latest evidence-based practices. We will create a dynamic and robust response to help people in crises with clinicians trained to provide critical behavioral health support. And with an adequately staffed police department and a team of clinicians providing crisis interventions, we can begin to eliminate the concentration of criminal activity in parts of the city where it has become problematic. I will champion affordable housing solutions that keep working families in our city and improve the quality of life for all. I will continue the work of improving our economic recovery, and I will address Seattle's growing population with needed infrastructure and investments, incorporating environmentally sound practices. The standard to help others had been shaped by the example of my grandmother, who demonstrated the virtue of selflessness and humility during her lifetime as she cared for many people in profound need and left the world a better place because of her courage. And I intend to lead with that same courage. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Maren Costa. I've lived in District 1 for 20 years and Seattle for 33 years. I've been a cashier, a waitress, founded a nonprofit here. I've also been a senior leader in the tech industry for 25 years, where I've led big teams, managed million-dollar budgets, and built bridges between competing teams to get stuff done. A few years ago, I made a choice to put my entire career on the line to do what was right. In 2020, Amazon put warehouse workers in unsafe conditions and was failing to act on climate change. As a dedicated employee and a mom, I wanted Amazon to do better. I led thousands of my coworkers to take an unprecedented stand. I outlined a plan to win, did the work, and delivered results. Our actions led to Amazon's climate pledge, the $10 billion Bezos Earth Fund, and increased worker safety. Now I want to help District 1 and Seattle rise to the challenges of our time. I'm running because we need leaders who have the proven ability to bring people together, build trust, and deliver concrete results. Immediately, we need to increase stable housing and coordinate with regional partners to ensure that those experiencing homelessness have paths to individualized resources. We need to feel safe in our neighborhoods and parks. We can have police and alternative response, lead with compassion, and refuse to tolerate harmful behavior, and tackle poverty, mental illness, and addiction so that crime decreases. Climate change is here and we aren't ready. With new federal funding, I will help lead our city to reduce emissions and protect residents from heat waves, smoke, and flooding. My vision for Seattle is to establish holistic public safety, end homelessness, and usher in the new green economy. Together, we can build a safe, equitable, sustainable city for all. I would be honored to earn your vote.
Hi, my name is Mia Jacobson, and I am running for the Seattle City Council position for District 1, which is basically West Seattle to White Center. I am 35 years old, a third-generation West Seattleite, a third-generation Union longshoreman, and a single mother of 3. I went to Seattle Academy and the University of Washington. You could say I am Seattle through and through. I was born in the house that I'm raising my kids in, a house my parents could afford with a single income, and one that I cannot afford, working the same job my father did. This means I've watched District 1 change over my lifetime, and I am very much personally invested in its future. This is my community. This is my children's community, and I want this community to sustain. My campaign is rooted in systemic change so that we can better address our current issues. If elected, I will work to improve citizen access to the legislative process, to introduce transparency and accountability within our system of local governance, and to celebrate community organization and empowerment. I believe that we have outgrown the system of representation. Our current rate of technological advancement has created a fundamentally different kind of citizen. We now have access to the information needed to become a valuable contributor to the conversation which creates legislation. We can coordinate within large numbers in a digital space to discuss our local policies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is time to shift our focus from the powers that be to the powers that we have become. I believe that we are on the verge of a great social transformation as we collectively step into a new era of being human. The conversations which currently dictate our society are held in rooms that private citizens cannot meaningfully access, contribute to, and hold accountable. I intend to change that. I humbly ask for your vote so that together we can continue down the path of human evolution towards a better, more functional way of doing things.
Hello, I'm Phil Tavel and I'm running for Seattle City Council, District 1, and I'm here to ask for your vote. I've lived here for 25 years and I've been an active public servant all that time. I'm a renter, I'm a dad with a 5th grader in the public school system, and my parents live here in District 1 as well. My life's work and passion has always been public service. I've been a high school physics teacher, a community leader, a small business owner, a public defender, and I am now an administrative law judge. For more than 15 years, I've worked in the criminal justice system helping people navigate drug court, mental health court, veterans court, and other public services. You know, not every crisis needs an armed response, but to deal with rising gun violence and to hold people accountable when they victimize others, we need a properly staffed and trained police department. I will start by expanding the Collaborative Policing Bureau and finalizing the contract with the police, which is now more than 2.5 years overdue. Our city is not delivering on its basic promises to provide a clean, safe, equitable, and prosperous city for everyone. The city can do a better job addressing the humanitarian crisis in our neighborhoods, our parks, and downtown streets as well. It's time for us to focus on proven interventions, expanding our array of shelter options, increasing our stock of permanently supportive housing, and providing safe lots for people living in their cars and RVs. We have thrown hundreds of millions of dollars at the homelessness issue, and it only seems to get worse. We cannot keep funding service providers that fail to deliver on their promises to help people in crisis. I will ensure that there is a true accountability in our system. I will also prioritize electrifying our municipal fleets of vehicles to move our city towards being carbon neutral. I will make sure to properly maintain our bridges and roads, especially our bridges, and protect our dwindling tree canopy. This is a time for public service, not politics. My name is Phil Tavel, and I ask you for your vote. Thank you.
It's been an honor to serve as your council member, and I'm running again so that together we can continue building a future that includes all of us. I've got the experience to organize community-centered approaches and secure investments to match. We delivered on our values rather than simply profess them. My office has a proven track record of progressive action. We committed to investing in historically underfunded schools, so we provided mental health funding for our South End schools. We said we'd prevent displacement, so we won tenant protections, monumental worker protections like paid sick leave for gig workers, and secured rent control for our small businesses. I secured permanent funding for community-driven development and for the Green New Deal, and all of this when times were really difficult. Let's advance these wins even further. I envision housing abundance and vibrant small businesses within reach of all generations who can stay rooted in their community. Children with full stomachs, single mothers with full wallets. Community networks preventing violence rather than just reacting to it. And I've just begun building alternatives to punishment and incarceration, especially for our Black and brown neighbors who suffer from the paradox of over-policing and under-policing. Let's deepen our investments in care and shared prosperity. We all deserve to feel safe in our neighborhoods, and as a mom with 2 kids in Seattle Public Schools, it's important to me that all our children are safe, whether they're walking to school or enjoying the park. We've only just begun that work by investing resources in District 2 that we need to improve our community health, our joy, and safety. Thank you for getting me here. I hope to continue serving the vibrant communities of District 2. We're proudly endorsed by MLK Labor, the 37th District Democrats, Progreso Latino, Working Families Party, Representative Jayapal, State Senator Saldana, and dozens of others. I hope to have your support too.
My name is Tanya Wu. I grew up in Beacon Hill, work at my family business in the Chinatown International District, and now live in Rainier Beach. I've seen how South Seattle has changed. I've seen what happens in neighborhoods that don't have a voice, and we are expected to live with bad city policies. I want to change that. As a community advocate, I have fought against continued discrimination from the city, which has done damage to one of the most endangered neighborhoods in America. I learned that fighting for our voice when the city imposes their will without listening to our community is a fight we can win. Now, I want to bring that same passion to fight for all of South Seattle. I know how to achieve better public safety. Every week, I practice what alternative policing looks like with my community watch group. We prevent violence while working with first responders when needed and provide mutual aid to the unhoused in the CID. I also know how to create more affordable housing. My family renovated the historic Louisa Hotel into new workforce housing, which only charges our residents a percentage of their income so that no one is charged a rent they cannot afford. We need to move past elected leaders telling us what they're going to do, but never showing up to do what people really want. Leaders that listen to the community, even when it's not politically convenient. We need to elect people who will show up and do the hard work it takes to run the city. Together, we can uplift South Seattle to be the place we know it can be. I promise to show up, work hard, and help make Seattle better together. I'm Tanya Wu, and I'm asking for your support for Seattle City Council District 2.
Hello, my name is Margaret Elizabeth, and I'm running for Seattle City Council in District 2. I first visited Seattle during June of 1999 and fell in love with the city. I vividly remember sitting in a coffee shop in Kirkland and looking south towards Mount Rainier, the sky an impossible blue where you can see for miles, and Mount Rainier took my breath away. I moved to Seattle in 2012 into the Belltown neighborhood where I lived for 5 years. In 2017, I moved to Rainier Beach where I've lived ever since. South Seattle is a wonderfully rich and vibrant neighborhood, and I'm happy to call it home. We have a lot of serious issues facing us as citizens of Seattle, and I'd like to mention 3 things we need to directly address: universal citywide single-payer health care, the right to shelter, and a real living wage. Healthcare is a right, and we need to enact legislation to make this right a reality. Following the models of Healthy San Francisco and NYC's Health and Hospitals, the City of Seattle should establish a universal healthcare access program to ensure all residents receive free, at point-of-service healthcare without relying on employer-sponsored plans or private insurance. The City of Seattle should establish rent control and renters' rights, end exclusive single-family zoning, ban new Airbnb developments, establish high-density, mixed-income housing near transit centers, and the city should expand cooperative housing, expand social housing, and make it easier to enter and sustain home ownership for Seattle residents. The City of Seattle should adopt a $25 an hour true living wage, which is automatically adjusted based on the cost of healthcare, housing, food, transportation, and inflation. I'm running for Seattle City Council in District 2 because I believe that we have a chance at an evergreen future if we take bold action now. Nobody else is going to help us. We're all we've got.
Our city is at a turning point. We haven't had leadership that listens. We aren't able to trust that our elected officials will do a good job. We've been hindered by political games, inflexibility, indecisiveness, and special interest money. We can't afford more of the same. I decided to run the day my son was born. I need him to grow up in a place where leaders behave like leaders and respond to their neighbors when they are called upon. In my role as a husband, father, business owner, care provider, activist, and substitute teacher, I've learned that the most important piece of our lives is how we can be of service to our community. I would like to serve because we need 1 million square feet of home for our homeless neighbors within the next 3 years, creating a pathway to allow for temporary sanctioned encampments for those who aren't yet ready to come inside. Ending the practice of sweeps and adding wraparound services will allow people to build self-sufficient lives of meaning. Additionally, we're going to reinstate the free ride zone so that Seattle becomes a leader on public transit opportunities for all people nationwide. Immediately, we need to leave the war on drugs behind and invest in education, support services, and job training. I will work to create a jobs pipeline into our new public safety models for formerly incarcerated persons so that those with lived experience can be the next caseworkers, mental health crisis responders, and more. My campaign is being run exactly how I will run my office, with hard work, conversations with our neighbors, and by building solutions together. I'm the only candidate funding their campaign entirely using public funds from democracy vouchers because we all know money and politics don't mix. Thank you. I hope to earn your vote.
Hi there, I'm Bobby Goodwin, and I'm running for City Council because I've been frustrated by the direction of Seattle since our leaders first abdicated their responsibilities to the anarchism of the CHOP. Since then, our city has been increasingly covered in graffiti and inundated by property crime, while a toxic compassion has taught us to walk past and otherwise ignore our neighbors' suffering as they kill themselves of fentanyl and other drugs. We have abandoned any sense of accountability, and it's time we do better. For the last 12 years, I've worked as a public defender, representing some of the poorest and most marginalized among us. Many of my clients are chronically homeless, suffering from substance use disorders, as well as co-occurring mental illnesses. I know that we can treat people with respect while still expecting responsibility. Now, over time, I've learned to skillfully navigate difficult conversations with prosecutors and clients to help reach reasonable resolutions, and it's that very skill set that has me uniquely qualified to meet this moment and help bring about the reforms that our city so desperately needs. One of my first priorities is to begin reconciling the trust gap between the community and SPD. We need more officers out of cars and patrolling streets, on foot and by bike. We'll provide housing subsidies to both help attract new officers and to make sure that more of our officers are patrolling the streets of the communities they actually live in. We will prioritize community safety over officer safety. We need to expand access to medically assisted treatment. Suboxone and methadone save lives. The data also tells us that cannabis products, especially high concentration THC, are contributing to psychosis amongst the youth, and yet the industry perpetuates a myth of harmlessness. We need to require honest warnings and to increase the taxes on these products to help fund the behavioral health services that we need. We also need to build more tiny houses. We need to permanently eliminate designer fee for any affordable housing projects, and we need to clamp down on short-term rentals. When we replace a single-family home with a triplex, only to have 2 of those units end up on Airbnb, we're not helping housing density. With your vote, I promise to prioritize the practical and the actionable.
Hi there. I'm Rye Armstrong, and I'm running in District 3. I am running to be the first non-binary council member on the Seattle City Council to represent our historic arts district, the diverse LGBTQ+ community, and all constituents in District 3. Our campaign is building momentum to keep Seattle as progressive as we can, with a focus on shelter, safety, and sustainability. Together, we will establish a universal right to shelter, pass robust renter protections and rent control, work to reform our strained policing system in partnership with the BIPOC community, in building specific alternatives to those more traditional response models, and create America's first carbon-free city by 2030. I believe that we get more done for the city and its residents when we put aside divisive rhetoric and work together toward a common goal. Inspired by the work of Senator Sanders, I identify as a pragmatic democratic socialist and believe that I'm the most progressive candidate running for this seat. Furthermore, as a lifetime Sierra Club member and activist with Extinction Rebellion, Seattle will never have a stronger advocate for protecting our environment and battling the impacts of climate change. Our campaign is proudly endorsed by the King County Young Democrats, the Seattle Green Party, and the Green Party of Washington. I'm honored that our race has the backing of these groups and so many others. As a third-generation union worker and member of 2 locals, I am deeply committed to go beyond business as usual and fight as a warrior for the labor movement of the working people of Seattle. We can do more to lift up wages and worker protections while also focusing on economic recovery. These are the values I will bring to the council when elected. It would be a great privilege to earn your vote and support throughout our people-oriented campaign to create actionable change in our community.
I am Shobhit Agarwal and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 3. I am a first-generation gay immigrant from India and have lived in Seattle since 2002. From working as a program manager at Microsoft to pursuing the dream as an actor to working retail, I have experienced the struggles of work at every level. I'm also a member of the SAG-AFTRA union. I have served on my condo HOA board for 5 years. This role has enabled me to listen to my constituents, be empathetic to their problems, and focus on finding and implementing solutions. It has also enabled me to ensure that we use our funds efficiently and effectively. I get the job done. My platform prioritizes advancing green infrastructure across the city. This includes expanding sound transit with last-mile loop buses. I will also work with Seattle City Light to expand electric infrastructure, which will enable the expansion of electric cars throughout the city. The green energy industry should provide opportunities for local businesses, and I especially want to support businesses owned by women, people of color, and sexual minorities. I want to make housing more affordable by dezoning, leveraging I-135, and reducing competition from non-resident investors. I believe in compassionate solutions for homelessness. I believe in enhancing public safety by hiring local Seattleites for our police and fire departments, while ensuring equal opportunity for all historically excluded communities. I support reproductive rights, LGBTQIA rights, and workers' right to organize. I want to streamline the process and resolve local constituent concerns like potholes, graffiti, and damaged pavements in a timely manner. I am in this race because I want to build a more prosperous and equitable Seattle. I am Shobhit Agarwal, and I ask for your vote to be your council member. Thank you.
My name is Joy Hollingsworth. I'm a third-generation Seattleite that was born and raised in the historic Central District neighborhood. I'm the daughter of a proud working-class family who dedicated their lives to public service, with both of my parents dedicating over 3 decades of their lives to Seattle Parks Department and King County Housing Authority. My grandmother, a public school educator and social worker, helped unify our city as school board president during turbulent times with integration. Over the last 39 years, I've seen how local policies have impacted people and the communities that have fallen through the unseen gaps. My plan is to prioritize safe and healthy communities, affordable housing, homeless services, small businesses, economic recovery, and youth development. We all deserve a safe and healthy community. We must ensure that our first responders are equipped with resources to respond with care in our community's most pressing safety concerns. Our city is expensive and only getting more unaffordable. I live in the home my grandmother purchased in 1947, and in 2000, when the neighborhood started to become more unaffordable, we converted it into a triplex to help her age in place. Small businesses are the anchor of our community. During the pandemic, over 4,500 of our own locally small businesses were forced to close. Communities are stronger when they nurture spaces for youth and families. We can do so by focusing on fundamental infrastructure of our city, providing clean parks, play fields, libraries, roads and sidewalks, safe transportation, and affordable after-school programming. I've dedicated my life to building community, and I will be a bridge for District 3 to City Hall with the over 45 of the city departments. Our campaign has the support of labor unions, small businesses, nonprofit leaders, elected officials, community leaders, all finding common good to push our city forward. I will be accessible, present, connected, dedicated to you because you have to know people to put forth good policy. My name is Joy Hollingsworth, and we are building community.
I am a pragmatic uniter who believes in standing up for what's right. With empathy and accountability, I believe in building together true community-centric relationships. My lived experiences continue to inform me on how this translates into meaningful policy. As one formerly unhoused and who lives and works alongside those who face the same struggles, especially when it comes to housing affordability, availability, and accessibility, I will use this office to fund the mandate for social housing by Seattle voters I rely on public transit and walking. I know how important it is to expand safe and accessible multimodal transportation and build safe walkways and bike lanes. And I will continue to listen to my community while working with city staff to find the path forward for all of us. As a Black man from a Nigerian immigrant background, I understand that community safety means that we all must feel safe, including that we must find alternatives to policing that are evidence-based and rooted in community responsibility and resilience. We cannot keep doing the same old things and hoping for a different outcome. This is not only physically irresponsible, it is morally harmful. Seattle can do and must do better. I am HIV positive and I have been fighting for dignified health care and health equity as a professional and an activist in ways I wish I and my neighbors had. I am an LGBTQ individual who is active in LGBTQ+ rights, especially for BIPOC individuals. As such, I am a lifelong advocate for the safety and sense of belonging that we all inherently deserve. I march and I also walk the walk. I hope to earn your vote to serve you as District 3's next City Council member.
Hi, I'm Alex Hudson. I'm a strong progressive and an urbanist with a proven track record of finding common ground, solving problems, and delivering results. Across issues like housing affordability, expanding transit, reforming enforcement systems, and improving neighborhoods, I've created lasting positive changes. For nearly 5 years, I led First Hills Neighborhood Association, where we increased affordable housing, built safer transportation, better parks, and improved livability. Until recently, I led Transportation Choices Coalition, where I secured transformative investments, including expanded light rail and bus service, making transit free for young people, and increasing equity. Our district is beautiful and vibrant. We share progressive values and we lead with compassion, but things are off track. Too many people are falling through the cracks. We have work to do to address complicated problems like homelessness, public safety, and affordability. But with fresh ideas and urgency, we can build more housing, care for the vulnerable, and keep everyone safe. We can be a great city that works. From my deep community involvement, I understand our challenges and how to make progress. I'm developing extensive policy agendas on housing and homelessness, transit and transportation, public safety, and revitalizing our neighborhoods and business districts. I walk the talk. In 2015, I was named one of Seattle's most influential people by Seattle Magazine. I serve on the board of a nonprofit affordable housing developer and the Freeway Park Association. I'm proud to be endorsed by organized labor, progressive organizations, and community leaders. We need a representative committed to listening, to resident services, who will problem solve issues and increase our quality of life. My experience and track record of success show I can hit the ground running to get Seattle back on track. It would be an honor to serve our district, and I ask for your support.
Hi, I'm Efren, and I'm running for Seattle City Council in District 3. With at least 4 new faces coming to council, we have a unique opportunity to enact real, lasting solutions for our city. Solutions to address the housing affordability crisis, homelessness crisis, and also climate crisis. But also to begin to build a city that we can be proud to pass on to the next generation. I was born during the height of Reaganomics in our nation's capital. And in those days, my family struggled financially. I would not be here today without their numerous sacrifices, community, and the occasional second chance. My early struggles are in part why I feel drawn to serve in this capacity. Having previously served in the military and currently as an attorney in mental health court, I believe that we find this moment as the culmination of generations of deliberate disenfranchisement along racial lines and underinvestment in social services. Our task is not a simple one. We must invest in non-police responses. We must invest in crisis intervention, and we must invest in rehabilitation for low-level offenders to break the cycle, all while also taking an aggressive stance on combating gun violence. Meanwhile, on the housing front, we must greatly expand our supply of affordable housing. We must maximize usage of our existing inventory and minimize the displacement of vulnerable communities. This is why I believe we must leverage our social housing developer, pass the affordable housing levy this fall, and upzone beyond what House Bill 1110 will allow us to do in order to create the 200,000 homes over the next 10 years that we need. For Seattle to be successful, we must acknowledge that there's no going back to the way how things were done before. We must decarbonize the way we get around, invest in bold capital projects to reshape our city to reflect our values. And I believe we have it within us to realize this vision. And in so doing, we will be an example for others to follow. You can learn more about my platform at electefren.com. Thanks.
I'm a public school dad, tech entrepreneur, and community advocate. As a longtime Seattle resident, I'm tired of watching our politicians put rhetoric over results. I also happen to have a background in public policy, and it saddens me to see our city leaders drowning evidence-based policy in an ocean of hand-wringing, process, and performative politics. Too many people have paid the price. My name is Ron Davis, and I'm running with a serious plan to build the ambitious future we all deserve. But I can't do it without you. I didn't start life in a place like Roosevelt. I'm the product of a teen pregnancy, but my parents eventually managed to buy a house and build us a beautiful life. I got really lucky, went to college, graduated from Harvard Law School, launched a tech company, and have been a business leader ever since. But journeys like mine are impossible in Seattle today, and the barriers are twice as high for people who don't look like me. I think we can all agree that Seattle should be a place where people from any background can afford to raise a family or build a career and age in place. I'll work tirelessly to deliver an affordable city that our children can live in and where we leave no one on the street. I'll also fight to make it as easy to get around without a car as it is with one, making us a green, clean, climate, and livability leader. And as a parent to 2 little boys, I also won't stop until Seattle is safe for everyone. I'm the only candidate with a serious plan to stop crime before it starts with evidence-based prevention, to quickly send the right professional for each emergency, and to rebuild trust in law enforcement through good governance and accountability. To build tomorrow's economy, I'll double down on our emerging and existing strengths in tech, AI, the life sciences, and bioinformatics, and expand apprenticeships into our schools. We'll attract tomorrow's workforce with housing and childcare they can afford in neighborhoods they want. I'm the only candidate with an actual plan to build a fairer tax code. I'm proud to be endorsed by unions, climate leaders, the local Democrats, business leaders, community leaders, and current and former electeds like King County Council members Gurmai Zahalai and Larry Gossett, Port Commissioners Toshiko Hasagawa, Sam Cho, and Ryan Calkins, and many more. I'd be honored by your support.
My name is Ken Wilson, and I'm running for the open District 4 seat. As a small business owner and civil engineer with 31 years of experience building major infrastructure and public works, I'm running to bring back pragmatic policies, fresh perspective, common sense solutions that work, and a return to basics for our city. I'm a UW grad and completed my master's degree while working full-time to pay for it. My wife was born in Seattle, and I've lived nearly 3 decades in District 4 Wallingford, where we raised 2 daughters in public schools. The current council has failed to address issues like public safety, homelessness, and housing affordability. I've been asking people I meet in our city is our city moving the right way? The people I speak with feel the city is not. They don't feel safe. They see amazing resources spent with little progress creating a livable Seattle for all. As your council member, I will work to get back to the basics and will make decisions that improve livability. With the right council leadership, we can deliver on safe neighborhoods, restore police staffing to the needed levels, provide well-maintained roads and bridges, protect critical green canopy, and create a vibrant downtown business environment that makes our city a great place to live and work. As a civil engineer, I have the background to safeguard growth that protects affordable housing for all stages and ages, benefits our neighborhoods without overstressing existing infrastructure. Seattle is a world-class city and deserves a council member who understands public works, supports local business, protects parks and schools, funds our police and emergency responders, and acts to address homelessness. I will be that council member, and I ask for your vote.
Hi, my name is Maritza Rivera. I'll never forget waiting and worrying outside Ingram High School as my teenage girls were in lockdown during the recent shooting there. It brought home that things are off track. I grew up in a tough neighborhood in the Bronx on the top floor of a 5-story walk-up. My dad was a welder and proud union member. My mom worked in a factory. They moved from Puerto Rico seeking a better life. I found that life here in Seattle. Unfortunately, due to poor decisions and performative posturing by the Seattle Council, including pledging to defund the police, our quality of life has eroded. Our neighborhood small businesses are closing, and our streets are less safe. I'll make public safety my top priority. 5-minute response times for priority 911 calls, get guns off our streets and out of our schools, shut down open-air drug markets, address addiction and the mental health crisis. It's also unacceptable that 3 years after the murder of George Floyd, Seattle still has no alternative to non-armed response to 911 calls. Not all situations require uniformed police officers, but some do. I'll prioritize. I will bring people together to build more affordable housing and address the homelessness crisis. I currently serve as the Deputy Director of the Office of Arts and Culture at the city. I worked in the Clinton White House as the Hispanic liaison for the ACLU post 9/11 to protect Muslim communities from xenophobia, and for former council member Tom Rasmussen. With better governance, Seattle can be progressive, safe, and vibrant. I would be honored to earn your support.
Hello, Seattle, and hello, District 4. My name is George Artem, and I'm running to be your representative behind the City Council dais. Some of you know me as just Artem, or hey you, I recognize you from somewhere. Well, yeah. I've done some things and been in situations that I'm not proud of, but who hasn't? It took a lot of help from friends, family, recovery circles, and shelters to help get me to where I'm at today. And one thing that I've learned in my personal recovery is to take accountability, clean my side of the street, make amends, and wake up to try another day. I'm an immigrant to this country, and I've lived in Greater Seattle for over 3 decades. I attended the University of Washington and completed both my undergraduate and graduate studies there, and in 2021 I attended law school on the East Coast. I decided to run for office because when I came back, the city that I love became totally unrecognizable. Once bustling commercial districts like the CID had turned into open-air drug markets where people are still getting high and selling stolen goods. In 2016, we dipped our toes into socialism. I know because I played a part in that. Today, there are members of the Democratic Party that openly promote communism and want to dismantle the system. Like communism, the defund movement has been an abject failure. Violent crime is up, drug use is up, and the fentanyl crisis should be waking everybody up. Since 2017, the Seattle Police Department has implemented 90% of nearly 300 community policing recommendations. They're a changed department and deserve our respect. In recent years, local government has raised and spent a lot of money, with not much to show for it. We need to acknowledge the failures in wasteful spending and establish a culture of accountability in city government. Like you, I have a lot of questions, and if I'm elected, I'll get answers.
My name is Shane Macumber, and I'm your candidate for Seattle City Council in District 5. I moved to North Seattle at 18 and found a community in local businesses like Cranium Cafe and the Greenwood Market. These and other spots have been replaced with corporate chains which suppress our wages while giving nothing back to the neighborhoods. As a payee coordinator and a realtor, I support people navigating systems which do not work in their favor. I have the insight into programs that will actually improve our housing, bring down cost of living, and make Seattle a place where everyone is welcome. That's my vision, a Seattle for all. Addressing affordability will require developing for density, which is responsible fiscal policy. We need to fully fund and empower our social housing authority to expand the amount of available housing in the city, which will protect residents from skyrocketing home prices and predatory rent increases. Expanding reliable and accessible transit is vital for District 5. Our residents need public transit, and I will be a champion of a transit system which everyone can rely on. Many emergencies do not need the response of an armed officer. Being in distress shouldn't have the same response as committing a crime. By adopting an independent social services task force, we can better support our residents and police by tailoring our responses to those best trained to provide them. I will be a tireless advocate for such an initiative, which will help our residents know they are protected and respected. District 5 deserves to be fully included in Seattle as we plan for the future. It's time for an advocate who's going to make sure our city keeps its promises. It's time for responsible fiscal policy, accessible transit, and being protected and respected. It's time for a Seattle for all. Vote for Shane Macumber for Seattle City Council District 5. Learn more at shaneforseattle.com. Thank you.
I'm running to promote upstream solutions that deliver effective, collective, and sustainable results. I'm determined to help make our policy systems more interconnected. If elected, I will ensure that city government centers and amplifies the needs and voices of our community. Together, we'll make Seattle function better for all people in our city. From direct social and housing service work to social equity and policy advocacy consulting, I've advocated alongside hundreds of community members and helped bring transformative change to over 200 organizations and government agencies. Additionally, I am the former co-chair of the Seattle Disability Commission and Renters Commission, a board member of BASE and UW Create, and a member of TRU and Green Party Washington. To enact sustainable solutions to persistent problems, we must start with the root causes of inequity in our policies and systems. We must implement pragmatic policies in the following arenas: sustainably establish accessible and affordable housing, increase wage parity and improve working conditions for everyone, create diverse pathways towards shared goals around community safety, improve multimodal transportation systems focused on pedestrian safety, support small businesses with economic recovery and growth, fix infrastructure gaps throughout our city, and intentionally focus on disability justice and intersectional civic empowerment. My policy change background includes co-leading passage of one of the nation's first bans of subminimum wage, successfully advocating for the adoption of disability justice principles at the Seattle Office of Civil Rights, co-organizing the fight for rent control resulting in the 6-month advance notice legislation sponsored by Councilmember Sawan's office, and endorsing the Jumpstart tax as a small business owner. We can find collective, effective, and sustainable policy solutions that get to the heart of the issues facing our district. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Neighbors and friends, Seattle is a progressive city, a compassionate city. But it's not progressive, compassionate, or even morally defensible to allow displaced residents to live unhoused in dangerous and unsanitary conditions in public spaces meant for the enjoyment of all, or to allow young women to be sex trafficked in public at all hours, in all seasons, in what is still, for many, a public health crisis. We cannot simply tolerate a citywide opioid epidemic, with open-air drug markets and drug use fueling theft, vandalism, home invasion, and other crimes, while businesses are shuttered or driven out of the city on the heels of renters and homeowners fleeing unaffordable rents and astronomical property taxes. It's a failure of public policy to allow enforcement of the laws on our books to fall by the wayside, effectively throwing our hands in the air and giving up, decriminalizing whichever behaviors we don't seem to have the ability to control. I want to change all that. I'm Justin Simmons, and I'm a lifelong resident of what is now Seattle's District 5, where I've been an active volunteer for more than 20 years and am now raising my own family. I was the first candidate to file in this race, and I'm running because I love our city. Our city is in crisis, and I have the skills, track record, relationships, and energy needed to help. My campaign priorities are public safety, with a focus on behavioral health, hate crimes, and gun violence, homelessness, affordable housing for all, including renters, seniors, and other residents on fixed incomes, protecting businesses, public spaces, the environment, and the unique character of Seattle and its neighborhoods, and accessibility, transparency, and accountability from public servants and law enforcement. You can read all about my qualifications and experience in the printed voter's guide and on my website, simmonsforseattle.com. I am proud to be endorsed by the Washington State Attorney General, King County Executive, King County Assessor, present and past council members, business and community leaders, and the Metropolitan Democratic Club of Seattle. I would be honored to have your vote.
Hi, I'm Nilu Jenks. I'm running because, like so many of you, I'm tired of the divisiveness that has taken root in Seattle politics that has not brought us the policy solutions we deserve. As a second-generation Iranian American whose parents were granted political asylum, I know how fragile democracy can be and that we need elected leaders who can focus on practical solutions and coalition building to address our housing crisis, our transportation needs, and to create a world where we can all feel safe. In 2019, my son and I heard a car crash and ran outside to help. We immediately ran into a policeman pulling out his gun, telling us to run back inside as he went on to confront the Sandpoint mass shooter only 20 feet away. I believe he saved our lives that day. And this happened to me in my community, someone who had organized with two moms to fundraise for and establish our nation's largest gun buyback program after the Parkland shootings. We need to continue to make progress addressing our gun violence epidemic, and I want to bring that passion, commitment, and proven collaborative working skills to Seattle City Council. We're all tired of false choices when it comes to public safety. We should be able to keep our parks and neighborhoods safe without blaming our unhoused neighbors as the root of our problems. These issues are heightened by our climate crisis with ever hotter days and stifling wildfire smoke. Climate activists have chosen this campaign as the top climate platform of all candidates citywide. In this platform, there are solutions for our housing crisis, plans to move toward a greener transit system that includes sidewalks, and funding for alternative police models and behavioral response teams, and to get our unhoused population into shelters and homes. I'm endorsed by former City Council member Jim Street, County Council member Rod Dembowski, Senator Javier Valdez, and have the sole endorsement of the 46th District Democrats, and many, many more. I would be honored to earn your vote. Thank you.
Back in 2013, the Lake City Community Center had been begging the city for months and months to install Wi-Fi, with delay after delay and no action. The community needed a solution, so I volunteered, got on the roof, and installed the first wireless internet system at the Lake City Community Center. Sadly, a decade later, nothing has changed. We watch volunteers take action and get results, while programs City Hall pours millions into seem ineffective. We have been patient and generous with our tax dollars, but we're not getting our fair share or a fair say on spending. Accountability is my top priority. We need to enhance auditing of city expenditures, identify what is working, and cut wasteful programs. Having lived in North Seattle for almost 25 years, some of you know me from my prior business, The Computer Doctor. Some of you know me from my contributions at the Eagles Area No. 1. I'm proud to be an active participant in our community using my skills to making it better. I believe IT management principles can change City Hall. Examining problems and finding solutions within budget is what I do every day. More importantly, I will make sure your voice is heard, because I will conduct a survey every 3 months and focus on what you want from your city government. And I'll make darn sure City Hall knows what you want too. Also, I am a proud advocate of civil rights, and especially the right to choose. The anti-choice movement is based on 2 lies. The first lie is every fetus is viable. The second lie is that pregnancy and birth don't pose a life-threatening risk. Last year, the United States had the highest maternal mortality rate of all advanced countries. Protecting civil rights is not enough. We have a moral obligation to audit and ensure our tax dollars are not feeding anti-choice organizations. Learn more and get involved at votebibby.org. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Moore. I'm excited to be running to represent District 5 on the Seattle City Council. We are a district of dynamic and diverse communities and small businesses with unique mobility, safety, and affordability challenges, deserving a strong, experienced leader in City Hall. I'm a lifelong Seattleite, family business owner, and mother of 3 Seattle Public School graduates. I've spent most of my career in the criminal legal system, most recently as a twice-elected King County Superior Court judge, and before that as a public defender, family law attorney, and chair of the Seattle Human Rights Commission. In these roles, I have worked on all sides of the complex health and safety issues facing our communities. I'm particularly proud of the work I've done to reform our criminal legal system, addressing racial bias and disproportionality. That proven track record of helping vulnerable neighbors, enacting improved equity and accountability, and improving public safety is what's needed now to get measurable results across our communities. A decade ago, Seattle voters approved districts to improve on-the-ground services while setting citywide priorities and policies consistent with our progressive values. From this lens, I will be a tireless advocate to get District 5's fair share of investments and make progress on citywide issues of safety, affordability, and opportunity. I'm proud of my proven record of progressive leadership, deep roots in our neighborhoods, and the unique perspectives and experiences I'll bring to this office. With your vote and support, I know we can make progress. Together, we can get good things done for our neighborhoods and families and build the Seattle future we all deserve. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Luca Murdoch Howard, and I'm a college student and native of North Seattle, so I'm deeply familiar with the issues facing District 5. Affording rent, much less mortgage, is drifting out of reach for most residents. Seniors and students alike have to choose between moving out of city limits or facing tough choices. Basic problems are ignored in our bus network, making driving mandatory and creating parking problems across the district. Aurora hasn't been invested in for decades, being so decrepit that neighbors avoid it when it could be a business area and urban hub. Across North Seattle, communities are ignored by City Hall. Most District 5 neighborhoods have no community center, sidewalks, or voice in Seattle's growth. As Seattle's youngest city councilman, I will bring a fresh perspective to our district. I will listen to the community and advocate for their solutions. I worked on I-135, and I will ensure that the Seattle social housing developer is funded to relieve homelessness and residents that are being priced out of the city limits. Aurora should become a proper main street by bringing bus, bike, and pedestrian infrastructure to places that don't have them. My main priorities are transit, affordable housing, and community improvements, and I will prioritize community-based, sustainable solutions so that young people can start to thrive in Seattle.
Hello, Green Lake community. I'm Bobby Tucker, but everyone in the community knows me as BT, and I want you to know BT cares. When I moved to Seattle over a decade ago, recommendation of my cousin, I instantly found my home in Seattle is such a vibrant and warm community full of people who deserve transparency and leadership. I'm excited to share my experience as a father and a spiritual leader to help elevate conversations of systemic racism, affordable housing, good paying jobs, and environment stability. My greatest joy in life is being a father, and I think there's no greater responsibility than ensuring a great future for our children. As the 11th child of the 16 kids, I was raised by my mother to care, to add action to empathy, and to build communities toward a progressive future. In scriptures, I'm reminded of Nehemiah 2:18. I told them of the good hand of God which was upon me, as also the prophet words that he had spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. I know the struggle we face in our community firsthand. For a period of time, I myself was unhoused. And it was through the grace of God in the community that I was lifted up out of poverty and into a more comfortable life. I'm grateful for the opportunity that the city afforded me and filled with righteous purpose to do unto others. As a Christian man, Father, in your next city council representative, I will give you my best to serve with humility, transparency, and the wisdom of our collective community.
Hi, my name is Ty Reed, and I'm running to be the next District 5 council member. Most of you might know me as the co-chair and co-founder of the House Our Neighbors Coalition behind the successful campaign for social housing. I'm also a mutual aid organizer, a member of the Transit Riders Union, a board member for both B Seattle and the Housing Justice Project, as well as a displaced renter who is ready to represent your community on the Seattle City Council. For the past 3 years, I've spent nearly every week distributing survival supplies to people living outside, listening to their needs and learning exactly what would work to get them inside. I've worked alongside countless organizations researching and advocating for solutions that ultimately end up being ignored or modified into ineffectiveness by elected officials. It's become all too easy for politicians to ignore our needs while insisting they're our allies during election season. That's exactly why I'm running on a platform to uplift the demands laid out in the 2022 Solidarity Budget. Community members have already told us what they need to live and thrive in a safe and healthy Seattle. Politicians simply need to say yes. I will start by immediately focusing my office's attention on passing bold progressive revenue to fill the projected $200 million shortfall in the 2024 budget. I will do this by increasing the jumpstart tax on large corporations and implementing a capital gains tax at the city level. Seattle is tired of regressive taxes that make every year harder and harder for working class families. Seattle must stop the sweeps. While this might not be a popular position to take, we know that they just don't work. Last year, the city carried out over 900 sweeps, many at the same location multiple times, with nothing to show for except a worsening homelessness crisis. Millions of our tax dollars are being wasted on services that are impossible to access. Finally, I will prioritize creating safe spaces for our kids, elders, and disabled neighbors. I will start by pedestrianizing Aurora with sidewalks, trees, and lit crosswalks. I will fight to make sure the 130th Street Station opens on schedule in 2026 with zoning that allows for dense, affordable housing in our district. I'm not running on the idea that we need new solutions to our problems. I'm seeking your vote precisely because we already have them. We just need leaders courageous enough to make them happen.
I'm Councilmember Dan Strauss, representing you in District 6. In my first 6 months in office, we faced a global pandemic, a recession, a civil rights reckoning, and civil unrest. One of those things alone would knock a normal person down, and together, we were resilient. I never quit working for you. I work from my district office at the Ballard Library so that you don't have to go out of your way to have your voice heard by City Hall. My office focuses on 3 top priorities: addressing public safety, addressing homelessness, and creating housing that is affordable for working families. Because the family I grew up in should be able to afford to live in the Seattle of today and tomorrow. I operate public safety task forces implementing real-time solutions by connecting small businesses, residents, and the people who can meet their needs. I support fully funding the police and critical alternatives. Today, we have community service officers patrolling our streets, park rangers in our parks, Health One responding to emergencies, and it was my amendment that brought the council's budget into 99% alignment with Mayor Harrell's SPD investments and fully funded the officer recruitment plan. I've resolved encampments in parks without sweeps, and now I'm partnering with Mayor Harrell to scale up our homelessness response by expanding to have neighborhood-based homelessness response teams. Things are better. But better isn't good enough. I want to raise my kids in a neighborhood that is safer than the one that I grew up in. Growing up in District 6, I see the horizon. It has a brighter future than what we have today, as long as we don't let up. I've dedicated my life to public service. I've navigated hard times and delivered for our district and city by bringing people together to find common ground. I'm Councilmember Dan Strauss. I ask for your vote to keep the momentum and to continue working for you.
Homelessness is now officially a long-term problem, at least 5 years to address, according to the Regional Homelessness Authority. Translation: encampments for 5 more years at least. Compassion is important, but we need to identify who needs what kind of help by implementing 3 levels of designated urban campgrounds: sober, intermediate, cannabis and alcohol okay, and permissive, hard drugs okay within the fenced area. Public safety is job 1. We clearly need to add more commissioned officers and unarmed community service officers. Enforce newly enacted laws against open hard drug use on our streets. Social justice demands investing in best practices to ensure civilian safety. Public infrastructure. Our bridges, water, and sewer mains are aging. The state legislature has now mandated sixplexes, which could triple or quadruple our population. And we'll have to foot the bill for the new infrastructure. When you voted in 2019, were you voting to defund the police? Probably not. New issues will emerge over the next 4 years. I'll take a socially liberal and fiscally conservative approach toward them. Leave people alone unless we need laws to keep their conduct from interfering with others. Spend tax dollars amply but wisely. Ability to pay matters. Don't overburden any one segment of the tax base. I'm Shay Wilson, your candidate for change in District 6, and I ask for your vote to govern responsibly. For more, go to votesheawilson.com.
With Mayor Harrell's leadership, we've made some progress in making our neighborhood safer, but we have much work still need to be done. I'm running for City Council in District 6 because we must elect a pragmatic City Council committed to fulfilling its promise and obligations by focusing on the basics rather than engaging in divisive and performative politics that we see currently playing out. I have 35 years in business experience and was the owner of the Red Door in Fremont for 20 years. Currently, I hold the position of Executive Director for the Fremont Chamber of Commerce and am President of the North Precinct Advisory Council. I feel the city's top priorities are ensuring community safety, addressing our housing and homelessness crisis, and returning to responsible financial management. Supporting and collaborating with law enforcement, drug treatment, and mental health professionals is absolutely essential for ensuring community safety. Our goal should be to consistently provide swift and dependable response in order to foster a thriving One Seattle. We must prioritize the construction of affordable housing to assist our working families and our seniors. This goal can be achieved by expanding the current housing supply, streamlining the permitting process, and at the same time preserving our neighborhood's character. In order to effectively address homelessness, it's imperative that the city take bold action to expand the number of shelters and tiny home villages, while also bolstering mental health and drug treatment services. We need to be able to use all the tools available to move people towards treatment. Seattle has been my beloved home for over a half-century, and we're in a pivotal time as a city. I'm running because I believe we need a more pragmatic, problem-solving approach to shape our shared future. I'd be honored to earn your vote.
I intend to be a positive influence in District 6 and the entire city of Seattle. In the summer of 2020, our city council buckled to pressure to defund the police. At the same time, I was leading a campaign on the streets and freeway overpasses of Seattle with signs of truth about the COVID pandemic response. I stood up to bullies like Antifa and others that sought to suppress free speech or any effort to have a public dialogue on the topic. I stood to defend our freedom of speech, an element crucial to both science and democracy. Early in the pandemic, qualified epidemiologists like Knut Witkowski showed that COVID-19 cases had tapered off before the lockdowns began, showing that herd immunity was already achieved. He and many other experts were ignored. The lockdowns, masks, and vaccine mandates damaged people physically, mentally, and financially. These measures didn't make sense then, but continued nevertheless. How much taxpayer money was used to fight the virus? My campaign continued as I organized the community and led over 30 marches in the Seattle area and this year in Olympia. It was largely due to my tireless efforts that the COVID mandates in Washington state finally ended. We all want to see an end to homelessness, but let's not chase another expensive solution. The proposal on the table with King County Regional Homelessness Authority would cost taxpayers $11.8 billion. That's $882,705 per homeless individual in King County. Let's shift our focus to supporting our business owners, homeowners, and wage earners, those stuck with high mortgages and rent. Our city needs to work for the taxpayers, not burden them. We can find community-based solutions to end homelessness. Let me bring my courage to our city council to face up to these pressures that want us to buckle. Vote for me, Victoria.
Hi, my name is Dale Katsera, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 6. Like a lot of you, I feel Seattle has been heading in the wrong direction for quite a few years now. We're heading down a path to a higher cost, lower quality of life. We used to be known for our planes, software, and coffee. Now we're known for homelessness, crime, and expensive housing. It's not too late to take a different path. We need to take people living on the streets with mental illness or addiction problems into protective custody and put them in treatment facilities. We shouldn't criminalize homelessness, but treat it like the public health crisis it is. Instead of relying on hundreds of outside vendors, we need a new social services department to help people in crisis. We've also taken the wrong approach to housing, believing that increasing supply will lower prices. But despite all the new housing we've built, rents and prices still go up. That's because private developers will only build market rate housing as long as market rates remain high. We need to prioritize affordable housing for people who earn at or below the median income. The new social housing office is a hopeful step in this direction. Addressing homelessness and housing affordability will go a long way to charting a new path for Seattle. People in crisis will get the help they need. The police can stay in their lane. The fire department won't have to deal with camp and RV fires. Our libraries can be learning centers instead of de facto homeless shelters. Our jails will no longer function as mental institutions, and our parks will be free of tents and needles. I hope you'll pay attention to these issues through this election season. You can learn more about where I stand on them at dale4district6.com. Thanks for your time.
Hi, I'm John Lisbon, and I'm running for City Council because I'm passionate about Seattle. I moved here over 25 years ago when Seattle was rated the most livable city in the country. Ask yourself if you can say that now. I have a vision of Seattle once again leading the country in livability. This is an historic time in Seattle, particularly because growth management has been an unmitigated failure. Traffic is a mess, housing is unaffordable, bridges are crumbling, residents fear for their safety, and our neighbors are literally sleeping in the streets. The recent update to Seattle's tree ordinance is an example of the failure of our city's leadership. Multiple amendments recommended by the Urban Forestry Commission were summarily rejected. Combined with the state's Middle Housing Act, which requires multifamily zoning throughout Seattle, who stands for trees? Are we the Emerald City or beholden to special interests? Subsidized multifamily housing close to transit is part of the balance that Seattle needs. We can have trees, and we can have affordable housing too. Before I built a small business from scratch into one of the fastest growing companies in Washington, I was a starving radio announcer, barely able to pay rent, while working 3 or 4 part-time jobs at a time just to get by. I know what it is to live paycheck to paycheck. We must require developers to build affordable housing on site, not pay a fee to build it somewhere else on cheaper land 4 years later. As president of Seattle Fair Growth, I've been advocating for housing for people of all incomes. And as your future City Council member, I will not be taking contributions from the master builders of King County. I'll be working for one constituency, you. Together, we can make Seattle livable again.
Hi, I'm Seattle City Council member Andrew Lewis. As a recent parent, I am more determined than ever to build a Seattle we can be proud to pass on to the next generation. In my first term, I brought together unlikely coalitions to deliver results, and I'll continue that work if reelected. On public safety, in my first term, I increased our park ranger program from 2 to 28 rangers, fully funded the police hiring budget each year, passed an ordinance protecting firefighters from harassment in the line of duty, and worked with Mayor Harrell to create a civilian behavioral health response in lieu of police involvement. If reelected, I'll increase these alternative responses, continue the shared commitment of the council and mayor to recruit and retain police, and support community programs proven to reduce repeated criminal behavior. On housing and homelessness, we need to get people out of encampments and into stable housing immediately. Working with Mayor Harrell, my office helped create the Unified Care Team, a one-stop, no-excuses shop to navigate people experiencing homelessness into shelter and resolve encampments. And it's reduced encampments by 42%, but much work remains. Over the next 4 years, I'll increase enhanced shelter options like tiny houses, so people experiencing homelessness have a stable shelter rather than being displaced to another encampment. I'll also work with city partners to build and acquire social and nonprofit housing so more people can afford to live in our community. On climate change, we are running out of time. Seattle must confront the emergency with housing planning that emphasizes dense, walkable communities, electrification of buildings, and safe, reliable public transportation. I'm proud to have been endorsed by the Martin Luther King County Labor Council, the 36th District Democrats, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, former Labor Secretary Robert Reich, Attorney General Bob Ferguson, County Executive Dow Constantine, and Downtown Seattle Association CEO John Scholes, among many others, and I ask for your support as well. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Hello, Seattle. My name is Aaron Marshall, and I am running for Seattle City Council, District 7. A steward. The careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. As a citizen of Seattle and longtime resident of District 7, we must ask ourselves, do we have a good steward in Seattle? I have lived in Seattle for over 20 years. This is my home. I refuse to give up on it, especially this city, regardless of how bruised and battered we are. Seattle is in crisis and needs direction. I am an independent voice for common sense change. I am neither Republican nor Democrat. I represent the majority who have been without a voice for too long. I'm a Seattle police officer who works on a team called the Community Response Group, working to address the most difficult issues the city faces. I've been an officer since 2013 and was drawn to SPD because of my deep ties to the city. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran. I was in the restaurant industry for nearly 2 decades, mostly in Queen Anne, and won Seattle's Best Bartender Award twice. I know my constituents, my small and medium-sized businesses, and I know my district. Our community is being torn apart by fentanyl, meth, and an unabated mental health crisis, and I've seen the effects firsthand. There is a way out of this, and that way requires dedication to work through these challenges proactively. The critical issues of public safety, addiction, mental health, homelessness, affordable housing, transportation, taxes, workers' rights, small and medium-sized businesses, and the overall livability of this city can be found in detail on my website, marshallforseattle.com. Thank you.
I'm running for the Seattle City Council, driven by a commitment to community safety and revitalizing our city with a business-forward mindset. I'm Olga Sagan, and as Washington Business Owner of the Year, I'm deeply committed to revitalizing downtown Seattle. I understand the significance of independent businesses and vibrant community events in creating a thriving city. I will leverage my experience and expertise to bring back the charm and energy that once made our downtown area so vibrant. Together, we will rebuild downtown that is bursting with local businesses, cultural events, and sense of community pride. I immigrated to America in '99 and graduated from Bellard High School. This experience has shaped my understanding of the importance of the community and the values we hold dear. Through my work with Piroshki Bakeries, I have contributed to making it a Seattle staple. With 70 employees across 4 locations, I have prioritized the well-being of my team by offering living wages and healthcare benefits, values all businesses should embrace. As a council member, I will bring this business acumen and commitment to community experience to City Hall. I pledge to be the most visible council member within their district that Seattle has in recent history. I will roll up my sleeves and hit the pavement with my constituents, not work remotely. You deserve to have a public comment face-to-face with your local leaders, not a camera. Together, let's build a safer, more prosperous Seattle, one that embraces community safety, not defunds police, empowers businesses, and celebrates our diverse and vibrant cultures. With your support, we can create a city where everyone has opportunity to thrive. Thank you for your trust, and I look forward to the opportunity to earn your trust and vote.
Hello, my name's Bob Kettle, and I'm running for Seattle City Council because I share your frustrations with the lack of progress that our city has made in the face of critical challenges in public safety, public health, and homelessness. I'm a first-generation American, stay-at-home dad, and civic leader, having retired as a naval officer to help support my wife's work as a civil rights attorney, including the landmark case with the ACLU of Washington overturning Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I volunteer with several neighborhood-level public safety organizations, including the West Precinct Advisory Council, the Queen Anne Blockwatch Network, and before that, as chair of the Queen Anne Community Council's Public Safety Committee. The truth is, my opponent has been part of the problem. Pledging to defund the police by 50% was irresponsible and undercut our public safety and our ability to implement reform. I support allocating additional resources to recruitment, training, and community policing, including non-police responders. My opponent and the council have enabled open drug use and drug dealing, which has claimed the lives of over 500 Seattleites last year alone. We cannot solve our public safety issues without addressing public health. With increasing shelter space, it's time to restore our public spaces. Encampments are an inhumane and inexcusable solution. Not only the public safety threats, most critically to the unhoused themselves, but blocking our parks and sidewalks infringes on disability rights, harms our neighborhood businesses, and diminishes everyone's quality of life. We need leadership able to partner with county, state, and federal authorities to add mental health hospital capacity and addiction treatment centers. We must also prioritize funding only programs and supervisors shown to actually work. I'll focus Seattle government on saving lives, keeping the vulnerable safe, and restoring our beautiful city. We can do this. I'm Bob Kettle, and I ask for your vote.
Hello, my name is Isabel Kerner. I am running for Seattle City Council Position 7 because we need to elect someone that is able to work with current elected leaders, the public, and officials of other city departments to implement common sense solutions that address the root cause or causes that have left thousands of people in Seattle's streets, sidewalks, and public parks, where criminal activity continues to run rampant, drug use is an everyday occurrence, and mental health seems to always be on the decline. As a city, we must work to rebuild the trust between the public and our public safety providers, including the Seattle Police Department as well as the Seattle Fire Department. We must hold our elected officials accountable at every city level so that promises made by successful candidates are kept once such individuals are elected, even if they failed during their tenure. Seattle also needs to clean up the streets. I believe we can once again be the Emerald City we once were known for if we take action now to remove the waste and litter plaguing the city and its perimeter. 4 years ago, in 2019, there was a lot of talk about auditing of city departments. And while there was a lot of talk about these audits, there was no audits ever done. We should have been conducting regular audits this entire time. Taxpayers deserve to know where and how their money is being spent. Taxpayers also need to know why Seattle keeps running out of money. I am a problem-solving and solution-oriented person. I get things done. Seattle needs common sense solutions to start now. With your vote, I promise we can achieve that immediately. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate your time, and I would value your vote with the highest level of integrity. Be safe and make smart decisions.
Seattle School District Number 1, also known as the Seattle School Board. The Seattle School Board adopts the policies that govern Seattle Public Schools. The board provides direction for the educational program and hires and evaluates the superintendent of Seattle schools. 7 directors make up the school board. Each director represents a district within the city. This year, 3 of the seats are on the primary ballot. Candidates for Districts 1, 3, and 6 will appear on the August 1st primary election ballot. If you live within School District 1, 3, or 6, you will have the opportunity to vote for the board position representing your district in the primary.
Hi. I'm Liza Rankin, your Seattle School Board Vice President and mom of 2 students in Seattle Public Schools. As a current board member and a longtime PTSA leader, I've worked over a decade alongside families, educators, and communities across Seattle to improve experiences, opportunities, and outcomes for students in our public schools. Throughout my first term, I've demonstrated an unwavering commitment to equity and continuous improvement while navigating the challenges of a global pandemic. I've led efforts to increase inclusion, access to outdoor learning, gun violence prevention, and equity in grading and assessment. I led policy work to ban isolation and limit restraint in SPS, practices that disproportionately impact students of color and with disabilities. Our policy is a model across the state to increase support for preventative and restorative practices that benefit all children. As the board's legislative liaison, I successfully advocated for additional state resources for special education, access to career and technical education, and record investments in behavioral health support for students recovering from pandemic disruption and trauma. I'm running for re-election because we are at a critical time for public education. Not only has the pandemic disrupted learning, impacted behavioral and mental health, and altered the district's relationship with families, but nationally, we face increased intolerance and attacks on public schools, boards, students, and staff. We need directors who know our communities and schools, who understand budget complexities and enrollment challenges, and can navigate the many demands of our system while remaining focused on high-quality education to all students. With your vote, I'll build on my record, and I'm committed to rebuilding not only trust and confidence, but joy and excitement throughout our education system. Together, we can support schools that meet the diverse needs of our learners and are the first choice for all of Seattle's families. And I thank you for your support.
Hi, my name is Debbie Carlson, and I'm running for Seattle School Board Director in District 1. Our public schools have been critical at bringing opportunity and learning to generations of Seattle's children. But we have much more work to do to increase academic achievement, ensure every student has a healthy and inclusive learning environment, and the school district is managed with transparency and accountability. I've lived in Seattle for 27 years, and over the past 15 years, I've served on the Best Start for Kids Advisory Board, as executive director of an LGBTQ+ nonprofit, as interim policy director for NAMI Washington, which is National Alliance on Mental Illness, and as mobilizing contractor for Children's Alliance. I was a community organizer for Hotel and Restaurant Employees Local 8, and currently, I'm an early learning educator. As Olympic Hills PTA Advocacy Chair, I have a firsthand understanding of challenges and opportunities in our schools. I'm running to be a strong LGBTQ voice on the school board and ensure children of all identities feel a sense of belonging in their schools. The inequities in academic achievement still need urgent attention and focus to make the school district an excellent learning environment. My vision here in becoming a school board member: 1, ensuring every student feels a sense of belonging in their schools, that no matter what your identity is, students can thrive and feel safe while gaining a high-quality education. 2, implementing a robust community engagement process, especially when big district decisions need to be made that center communities farthest from educational opportunities. And 3, bringing more transparency back in the budget and policy development process. I'm excited to take my experience in education, community organizing, and labor to get pragmatic results for all students. I'd be honored to earn your vote.
Hi, my name is Christy Robertson. I'm running for election to the Seattle School Board in District 3. And I'd like to share with you why I'm in this fight and what I hope to achieve. I've called Seattle home ever since I started my PhD program in neurobiology and behavior at the UW in 1996. Over the years since, I've worked in software, had 2 children, and grown more and more deeply involved as an advocate in our educational community. Currently, I'm serving on the executive board of the Seattle Special Education PTSA, and I've had the opportunity to meet and collaborate with so many others who believe that we can do better by our kids. What I think makes our public schools special is the sense of collective effort and community. We all come together, parents, teachers, and neighbors, to shape a vision for our children's education. We entrust this vision to our schools and to our school board. However, right now it's clear to me that our schools are struggling to reach that vision. Despite the tireless work of our teachers and the advocacy of our community, our schools are losing enrollment, facing a budget crisis, and failing our most vulnerable kids. This is why I'm running for the school board. As a parent and a community member deeply involved in special education, I bring a passion for inclusion, justice, and equity. I'm committed to ensuring that every child, regardless of their background or their abilities, has access to a welcoming and supportive educational experience. I'm excited about the opportunity to serve you on the school board, and I look forward to working alongside you to create a brighter future for our public schools, a future where every child in Seattle gets the great education they deserve.
Hi, my name is Evan Briggs, and I'm running to be your next school board representative. At its best, education opens doors and unlocks potential. Yet in a city of abundant resources, we face persistent opportunity gaps that are among the worst in our nation. As the parent of 3 SPS students, one of my core beliefs is that we advocate most effectively for our own children when we advocate for all children. We must align our district to focus on student outcomes such that every child in the city receives the education they deserve. From running a summer program for children of East African refugees to teaching at the college level and everything in between, I've spent time in the classroom and understand the unique challenges our educators face. From a parent perspective, my efforts to secure the support necessary for my children to thrive at school have been met with frustrating roadblocks. As a board member, I will advocate for policies that support and empower our educators to help our kids reach their full potential. Children are facing an unprecedented mental health crisis. Our schools are facing a budget crisis, and data show that too many students in our district are profoundly underserved. Addressing these issues requires big picture thinking and a systems approach to enacting meaningful change. In my years of advocacy, having served on PTAs and the Magnuson Park Advisory Committee, I understand that systemic change doesn't happen overnight. I also understand that successful movements are grounded in relationship building, which is why I will advocate for inclusive engagement policies, proactive, transparent communication, and strong partnerships. I chose a career in documentary filmmaking because I believe stories have the power to transform. Together, let's create a new story about education in Seattle. My name is Evan Briggs, and I would be honored to have your vote.
Seattle is a progressive, educated, and innovative city, but our public schools are failing too many kids, teachers, and families. There is a real but quiet crisis in our schools. Pandemic disruptions, declining enrollment, budget instability, and widening gaps in equity and outcomes. I am running for school board because I believe we can meet this challenge and build great schools for all families. I've called Seattle home for 20 years. I've fought for housing affordability as the executive director of the Washington Low-Income Housing Alliance. I've worked at leading technology companies. I've been a proud SPS parent, volunteering for school plays, chess clubs, and fundraising events. Our kids have had dedicated, talented, and committed teachers. But we need systemic change to address urgent needs. After a student died from gun violence at Ingram High School, there was little to no response. The board and district intend to close neighborhood schools and have ended vital enrichment programs. Students furthest from educational justice are, using the district's own measures, worse off than they were in 2019. The constant budget panic is a result of a fundamentally unsound financial footing with no plans to make real changes. As a result, many parents who can are leaving for private schools. We deserve a school board that takes gun violence seriously. We deserve a board that fights to keep neighborhood schools open and offer programs that draw students in. We deserve a board that does more than talk about improving the education of the kids most in need of our help, but insists on results. I don't have all the answers, but I believe that bringing in new voices is the first step to getting back on the right track. I would appreciate your vote.
My name is Gina Top, and I want to be your next Seattle School Board Director representing District 6. Growing up in Washington, I experienced firsthand the struggles of our underfunded schools. Still, my life was transformed by the teachers and counselors who went above and beyond to support me. Now, as I prepare to send my daughter into the same underfunded system, like many other parents, I'm worried. Seattle Public Schools faces a staggering $131 million budget shortfall. The board is discussing cutting buses and music programs, laying off teachers, and even closing schools. We need experienced leaders prepared to tackle these issues head-on with innovative solutions and an unwavering commitment to our kids. As Chief Legal Counsel and Policy Advisor to the King County Executive, I manage complex policy and budget challenges, working to prioritize equity, accountability, and delivery of services. I'm well equipped to bring stability and transformation to our schools, restoring parental and community confidence. With your vote, my priorities will be cultivating safe and welcoming environments, empowering educators, engaging parents and communities, and ensuring equity in education for all students regardless of their background so that every child has an opportunity to succeed. I'm grateful to have the endorsements from local leaders, including King County Executive Dow Constantine, State Representatives Emily Alvarado and Joe Fitzgibbon, and Seattle School Board Director Leslie Harris. Together, I believe we can create a Seattle public school system where parents and students look forward to the start of each school day. I'd be honored to have your vote.
You've just seen all the video statements of the candidates and ballot issues that appear on the Seattle primary ballot. For King County and Port of Seattle candidates and issues, watch the King County version of the Video Voters Guide. We will produce another Video Voters Guide for candidates who advance to the November general election. This program is a collaboration of the Seattle Ethics and Elections Commission, the Seattle Channel, and King County TV. Look for your ballot in the mail after July 12th. Ballots can be returned via U.S. mail, postmarked by August 1st, or dropped at one of King County's secured ballot drop boxes by August 1st. Accessible voting centers, AVCs, are available to voters who need assistance completing their ballot. Track the progress of your ballot online and find the location of drop boxes and AVCs by visiting King County Elections at kingcounty.gov/elections. Thanks for joining us. We'd like to hear from you about the Video Voters Guide. To comment on this guide, please call 206-684-8500 or email ethicsandelections@seattle.gov.